Welcome back, handwork lovers. Today we're making this beautiful beaded tie. Materials needed include transparent yarn or fishing line, this blue green beads. They're just round like ceramic beads. This closure, this beading closure. We're going to be needing crimp beads. We're going to be needing this crystal blue beads. We're going to be needing seed beads. We'll also need our cutter and our plier. Let's get started. So you want to go ahead and cut your fishing line or transparent yarn into 200 centimeter or 2 meters. I have already done that, and I cut it in 3 different places. So 200 centimeter, 200 centimeter in 3 different places. So I have this black background just to show you my transparent fishing line. So I'm just going to remove this now and put it to the side. So once you have that, I also wanted to say that fishing lines have been rolled for a very long time, so they are not always very flexible to use, but there's a way to make them as flexible as this, because as you can see, mine is kind of straight. You just have to iron it. You put it on the lowest form of heat on your iron, and then you just pass the iron through it very quickly, and then it becomes a little bit straight, or it's better to use. So the next thing I'm going to do now, I'm going to start beading with my seed beads. They're white in color, and I'm also going to be using this. So I'm going to pick one bead, and this one bead I'm going to be picking is going to be serving as my protective bead. And I'm just going to use it. I'm going to put the fishing line, I'm going to put it across my finger and put the fishing line right back through it. So this secures my bead from all pouring off. So the next thing I'm going to do is to pick my beads. So I'm going to be mixing these two. So for every 30 seed beads I pick, I'm going to pick one blue crystal bead. So I already have one. So 2, 3, 4, 5. So I'm just going to make sure I'm picking 30 or thereabout. I'm not using a needle because I have fairly thick fishing line, so I can't use a needle for this. It won't pass through my bead. So I'm just going to pick it manually, or if you have this bead rolling thing, you can also make use of it. So I'll be back when I have my 30 in place, and I'll show you what I mean. So now I have about 30 seed beads on my strand, and now I'm just going to pick one blue crystal glass bead, and I would have something like this. So I'm going to pick another 30 and have something like this again until I have about 50 centimeters long on my strand. So now I have picked the exact amount of beads that I need. I have measured it like this, and as you can see, the two beads are at the sides of each other. So I'm going to put my strand into this blue crystal bead right here. Just like this. So I have the second one just like that, and I'm just going to continue this process until I get to the end of my strand. So now I have excuse me, I have my two strands all done, and I have secured them at the end so that the beads don't go anywhere. I'm now going to start with my third and final strand. So the first thing you want to do is to pick a bead, just like I said, and you want to make sure you secure it. How do you secure your bead? You pick a bead, put it across your finger, put the strand across your finger, and then you put the strand right back into the bead. It's just as easy as it looks. And there you have it. Your bead isn't going anywhere. So I'm just going to continue with the same pattern. I'm going to pick like 30, and I'm going to put it into this crystal bead right here. So I'm just going to quickly show you what I am going to be doing. And it's just that easy. This can be a bit challenging for new beaders, but don't worry, it gets easier with time. Bead making is all about patience anyway, so you want to be super patient when you're making beads and focus on your end result. So it's just picking the beads now. And I'm just going to do what I did with the second strand. I'm going to measure. I'm not quite there yet, maybe one or two seed beads more. So I'll measure it again and just check, and I think I have the right length for what I want. So I'm just going to put it into the crystal again. It's eventually going to go in, but so I'm going to just release it up so that I'll have some more space. Oh, I think I have to cut off the tip of my, yeah. So I'll try it again. quite challenging, but it would eventually go in. It's all about patience. There you have it. So I have my third strand in, just like that. And I'm going to just continue doing the same thing until I get to the end of my bead. So now I have all my 3 strands in my beads all neatly done, and my aim is to have something like this. Yeah, I have secured them all at the end, and I'm going to, yeah, this was what I wanted to have. So the next thing I'm going to do, you're going to make sure that all your beads are in the middle of your strands, because we still need the strands to make the other part of the tie bead. So they are all in the middle and all set. So I'm now going to bring it together like this. I'm going to, now here I have 3 strands. Here I have 3 strands, but at the end here I'm going to have like 6. So these are all my 6, and I'm going to bring them together like this. So once I have them all brought together, I'm now going to be using my other accessories and beads. So I'm going to make sure I have them all together at the top. Just like this. And I'm going to put all these 6 strands in one gold accessory. And this is what it looks like. I use this a lot in my beading because it's antique and it's really strong. It's not bendable, and I really like it. So I'm just going to put everything through, and it's just going to give me a nice covering like this. You can also use a crimp bead here before you cover it up, but I think I don't need it. So this is what I would have. And the next thing I'm going to do is to put in my beads like this. I have this giant blue and gray or green beads. So I'm going to, and they are quite large. The holes on these beads are quite large, so they would pass, the 6 strands will pass through. And so I have something like this. And I'm also going to use one more antique closure, and that will mark the start of the other part of my tie. Oh, I'm putting it wrongly. So all 6 again into this. You don't have to do this if you don't want to. I mean, you could just stop at this and you can continue your work. So, and this is it. So the next thing I'm going to do is to start beading. I'm going to try to put the other strands here, down with my plier, and I'm going to start beading. So I'm going to repeat the process again. I'm going to be picking 30 beads, 30 seed beads, and yeah, I'll just be putting one crystal bead, and this I'm going to do 40 centimeters long. So I'll show you what I am trying to achieve with this. It's quite easy to do. So now I have about 30 seed beads there, and I'm just going to use one crystal bead. So I'm just going to continue this process. I'm going to keep picking 30 and putting one of this, 30 and putting one of this, till I have about 40 centimeters long. So now I have about 43 centimeters of my bead, and as you can see, I have 30, the blue one, 30, the blue crystal bead, and so on. Now I've come to the end of my bead. I haven't secured it, and I'm not going to. I'm just going to now pick some other beads to end my strand. So I'm going to pick this closure accessory again. I'm going to put in one crimp bead. This is the crimp bead. Going to put in one crimp bead on my strand. I'm going to pick 3 of these ball beads, like they're like ceramic beads. So I'm picking 3 of those, and I'm going to be picking one blue crystal glass bead. So this is what I have at the end of my bead, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave the crystal bead out, and I'm going to pass my transparent yarn back into the blue big beads, the 3 all together. So that's 2, and the third one as well. So I'm just going to tighten it up now. So once I have this, I'm going to put my strand back into this crimp bead as well. So it's all going back into the other. And so I'm just going to make it tight a little bit. So once I have this, I'm going to press my crimp bead down with my plier right there, and then I'll pass my transparent yarn through the accessory one more time, and that's it. I'm just going to cut off the excess yarn, and this is how I'm going to be ending all of my strands. Exactly this way. So the crimp bead is eating. It's not seen, it's not outside, and yeah, it doesn't get to destroy clothes or things like that, because the crimp bead, it's like metal. So if it's not covered, it tends to destroy some certain fabrics, and we don't want that. So now we found a way to hide our crimp bead right under our bead. So now I have finished with my second strand, and I'm just going to show you again how I'm going to achieve this ending. So I have my antique gold antique closure. I'm going to take my crimp beads as, yeah, for the next bead I'm going to be taking. I'm going to take my 3 ceramic beads, and the last one will be the glass crystal bead. So once I have this, I'm just going to put it across my finger, oh, like this, and I'm going to just pass the yarn right back into the beads, just like this. I'm also going to pass it back into the crimp bead, like this. And the next thing I want to do is to make sure that it is tight. So you want to make sure that your bead is tight even from the very beginning here. So everything is passing through the antique bead. So the end of the bead, it's all sitting very tightly, because you don't want to have space. You don't want to have space between your beads when you finish pressing down the crimp beads. So once I have this, I'm just going to use my plier and I will press the crimp bead down. I'll pass the rest of my fishing line or transparent yarn through the antique, and I'll just cut the excess off with my plier. And that will make the second strand. So I still have 4 strands to go, and I am going to be changing the pattern a little, because here I've been picking 30 beads, and after I pick 30 seed beads, I pick 1 crystal blue bead. So now I'm just going to be picking like 20 sand beads, seed beads, and I would pick 1 crystal bead. I'm just trying to add a little spice to it, because I don't want them all to be on the same line. I want some to be maybe like 15, so it will spice up the middle of the 30 and so on. So I'm going to pick about 15 to 20 seed beads, and then I would pick 1 blue crystal bead, and I'll be back to show you what that looks like. So now I have made my strand, and it is a little bit different from what I had before. So with this one I have, oh, it's this one. I made 3 different strands actually. So with the first one I picked 30 beads, with one blue glass bead. The second one I picked 15 with one blue glass bead and 15 again, and so on. And with the third one I picked 10 seed beads with one glass bead. So this is my last strand. I secured it because I didn't want it to pour, so I'm going to reveal it now because I do not want to secure it at the end. But you can do it if you want to, but I just want it to be free. So just to conclude my work, I'm going to show you the ending one more time. You want to pick your antique bead first. You want to pick your crimp bead, but don't press it yet. You're going to pick 3 ceramic or ceramic bead like this, and then you want to pick the last and final glass bead. So you want to pass your yarn or your fishing line through your beads and also through the crimp bead. So just like this, and now you want to make it tight. By releasing this a little, and then you can pull it up to make it tight. So you pull it right to the bottom, make sure everything is in place, and then you can press your, I think I'm going to make it a little bit more tighter, and then you can press your crimp bead down, and you still want to pass it through the accessory out, and then it stays, and you cut out the rest of your beads, of your transparent yarn or fishing line. I think I still have one more I have to do, so I'm just going to end it. I'll be back when I end it. So now I have finished my work, and this is what I have. It's so lovely and easy to make once you have all the right instruments and beads. And the good thing about it is you don't have the crimp beads at the end, so it won't like spoil your fabrics or clothes or anything. It's just really perfect. It's secured and it's really easy for weddings and for occasions. This is just a very perfect bead. Thank you for watching, and please don't forget to subscribe. Thank you.